Good evening, this is TV Asia and you're watching World News. Today's headlines. The world is at a critical moment, warns Antonio Guterres ahead of the annual United Nations General Assembly. Trump talked about Mexico border wall and Iran while visiting the wall. Japan court acquits energy bosses over Fukushima disaster. Celine Dion returns to Canada to kick off the world tour. Let's start today's bulletin with the warning given by Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, ahead of the annual United Nations General Assembly, stressing the importance of tackling climate change. Antonio Guterres said that the world is at a critical moment and it's a great time of emergency where all nations have to come together.
The world is at a critical moment on several fronts. The climate emergence, rising inequality, an increase in hatred and intolerance, as well as an alarming number of peace and security challenges. Tensions are rising everywhere.
He also shared that we are running out of time and the world is already on various kinds of wars.
Let's face it, we have no time to lose. We are losing the race against climate change. Our world is off track in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. We see trade wars and real wars, and the spread of hateful words and deadly weapons.
Talking about the recent attack on Saudi Arabia and its oil fields, Antonio condemned the way countries are handling the situation and how UN can change the situation in Gulf countries.
I strongly condemned this attack. I think this attack is a dramatic escalation in the Gulf, and I believe that we absolutely need to stop this kind of escalation and that we absolutely need to create the conditions to avoid a major confrontation of the Gulf.
In the end, he also talked about the Trump administration revoking California's authority to set auto emission limits.
I think it's important that, and this is true for many countries in the world, that cities and states and regions have the capacity to develop all positive measures in relation to climate action.
On the other side, US President Donald Trump visited US-Mexico border wall. While visiting, he inspected the ongoing work and talked about the development of the wall.
It'll be over 400 miles, and we think we can get it close to 500 miles by the end of next year, depending on certain terrain conditions.
On asking about the promise he made to pay Mexico to pay for the wall, Trump praised the country for their efforts.
Well, they're paying for 27,000 soldiers, as you know, and I am so, we are all thrilled. You know, Mexico has never done anything to impede people from pouring into our country, and now they're doing just the opposite. They've really been incredible. I also think it's good for Mexico.
He also stated that America is ready to impose tariffs if Mexico stops paying for the wall.
If Mexico stopped helping us, that would be immediately on the table, and that would more than pay for the wall many times over.
On the visit, he also condemns Iran's recent attack on Saudi Arabia, and he also talked about ongoing US sanctions on Iran, which target Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and the Islamic Republic's top brass.
We are doing it the right way. We're doing it the smart way. It's very easy to go in. We could go in one instant, just one phone call. We could go in, and we'll see. And that might happen. That might happen. But we will see what we will see.
In a recent development, a Japanese court on Thursday cleared 3 energy firm bosses of professional negligence in the only criminal trial stemming from the 2011 Fukushima nuclear meltdown. The 3 men were senior officials at the TEPCO firm operating the Fukushima Daiichi plant and had faced up to 5 years in prison if convicted, ruling that the executives could not have predicted the scale of the tsunami that overwhelmed the plant and triggered the accident. The presiding judge said that all defendants are not guilty. TEPCO declined to comment on the verdict, repeating its sincere apologies for the great inconvenience and concern caused by the disaster. The 3 former executives were accused of professional negligence, resulting in death and injury for failing to act on information about the risks from a major tsunami. But they argued that the data available to them at that time was unreliable. After living and crooning for years in Las Vegas, French-Canadian superstar Celine Dion returned home in Quebec to kick off her first world tour in a decade on Wednesday. At 51, the Grammy winner also recently announced the release of a new album titled Courage, which will be her 12th in English and is due out on November 15th. Some 60 dates in North America have been confirmed so far. Her label said, with 2 arena shows in Quebec City on Wednesday and Saturday kicking off the tour, which will run through April 2020 and will be her first world tour since 2008 and 9. Fans, though, are very excited on her comeback.
Important, je voulais être là le premier soir pour voir là, l'effervescence qu'il y a d'une première aussi, puis de voir aussi qu'est-ce qu'il y en est là, avec toute cette fébrilité qu'il y a dans l'air.
Aussi, fait que là pour ce soir là, justement c'est de la nouveauté, fait que malgré qu'on l'a déjà vu, mais là c'est pas les mêmes chansons, mais non, regarde, tout le temps bien content de la voir.
Coming back to her home, Celine is welcomed by locals with warm hearts.
Clairement, mais oui, ça fait un petit baume au cœur. On dit qu'elle aime le Québec, puis c'est ça. Elle veut commencer sa tournée chez nous. Là.
Bien, ça représente le Québec en entier, tout simplement, depuis le temps qu'on la connaît. C'est la meilleure chanteuse.
Courage marks the first album and the tour in Dion's long career without a husband and manager Angelil, who died in the year 2016. This is all for today's bulletin. See you all tomorrow. Keep watching World News.